we may not be alone.
Welcome to the Michigan UFO Sightings and Paranormal Encounters podcast, where we explore the unexplained and mysterious phenomena that have occurred throughout the state of Michigan and beyond.
From UFO sightings to ghostly encounters, we delve deep into the stories, the evidence, and the theories behind these strange events.
We are your hosts. I'm Michelle.
And I'm Wayne.
We are an educator duo that after an encounter with a triangular UFO in 2018 in Michigan, we decided to investigate UFOs and the paranormal. In this podcast, we will be speaking with eyewitnesses, experts, and researchers to uncover the truth about some of the most intriguing cases of paranormal activity in and around Michigan.
Our goal is not to convince anyone of the existence of these phenomena, but rather to provide a platform for discussion and exploration. So, buckle up and join us on this journey down the paranormal rabbit hole.
On an escalator.
Woo-hoo. Hey, everybody. How are you doing tonight? What's up, humans?
God, we are in part 2 mode tonight.
Part two, and we are live. So it is Sunday, the 24th of August, 2025, and we are hiding out in our secret bunker the night before our first full week in the classroom. So deep within the shadow of the great Motor City, Detroit, Michigan, we're hiding. And this is a continuation of our series on the experiences of our guest tonight, Bennie Foggin. We are live, and in this episode, we're going deep into recovered alien material where we left off on our last episode. We're getting further into the testing and cover-up of that material by high-level scientists and researchers, both in the government and private sector. So, yeah. And then we're going into Bennie's experiences with the alien-human hybrids, including Bigfoot. So we are bound to upset a lot of people tonight with what is to follow during this interview. So with that being said, we're just going to jump right into this. Here we go. Oh, wait a minute. Wait, I forgot. We have an important announcement. Just confirmed last night. Everybody hold your breath.
You want me to tell about this one?
Go for it.
So next week, we're moving our show to Monday.
Just for next week, everybody. Just for next week.
So next Sunday, we will not be on live, but next Monday, so Labor Day, 8 p.m., we will have returning guest Stephen Bassett on with us, who's going to talk to the recent Tulsi Gabbard, Rep. Anna Paulina Luna, and interviews on Joe Rogan, as well as the upcoming UAP hearing by the House Armed Services Committee.
Correct. So that's going to be huge. He's got a lot to talk about with the upcoming hearing, disclosure, all of this stuff. And I can't wait to have him on here because
it's been a minute.
And we've got the evidence, man. We've got what's going on. So with all this stuff going on, it's going to be great to talk to him, and we'll get more into that, but it's going to be Monday, okay? Monday at 8 p.m., not Sunday. So now, with that being said, let's bring on our guest tonight. Are you ready? Here we go. It's Bennie Foggin. Ben, thanks for joining us yet again.
You bet.
Man, it has been a crazy ride since we released that video of that interview we did with you, last week. What happened? Let's first talk about one thing. And everybody go watch the video that I released about 4 days ago. But you got a strange phone call.
Yes, we did.
What happened?
I had the phone hooked up to our car phone, and it rang, and I answered it, and a voice came on that was with one of those machines that disguises your voice. And they said, "You're not playing by the rules." Real creepy like. And then they hung up.
But you got the number because we've got the number now too.
Yeah, I think Ray might have checked that number out. I don't know if you guys did or not.
Yeah, we did.
Well, here's what I will tell you, Benny. I literally paid for the deep scrub on that phone number.
Yeah.
And that phone number came from like an app that you can put on your phone, like the Text Now app.
Uh-huh.
And that phone number was completely a bogus number.
Uh-huh.
So there was no one who was attached to that number.
Yep.
So, and Wayne was like, "Are you going to pay to find out?" I said, "I'm going to pay to find out one way or another." So then I showed Wayne how easy it was
Yeah.
to make a 937 area code phone number. So I put the Text Now app on my phone,
Uh-huh.
got a Southern Ohio phone number, and I sent him a text saying hi. And he's like, "Who's this number from?" I'm like, "The text just came from me." It's so easy to create a bogus number. And unfortunately, yeah, you got hit with a burner number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So somebody's out there trying to intimidate or play some games or whatever.
But that call only came in after you had been at the UFO symposium, and it came in after 3 short videos on our podcast leak. So we hadn't even put out the interview yet.
No.
Yeah.
That was before the video was released. The only thing, like Michelle said, I had put some shorts together to kind of pump up the interview being released on last Sunday. And yeah, that was the only thing out there. So I don't know, maybe you ruffled some feathers at the symposium.
Yeah, I had a couple of weird questions there, and could be.
Well, like Ray Szymanski always says, when he goes and does his presentations, he always asks, "Is there anybody from the intelligence community out in the audience tonight? Raise your hand. You're welcome here." So, but these guys are trying to figure out what people have, what people know. I mean, it's so apparent now, guys. You might as well just give it up because everybody knows the games that you're playing. So anyways, along the lines of the whole phone thing and everything that went on, we had a viewer send us an email that was talking about the story you gave to us about how you found the metal. And he remembered seeing an episode of Uncovering Aliens. And it was season 1, episode 2, in which you and your son were featured toward the end of that episode. And again, I talk about this in the video I made 4 days ago, but I thought maybe coming straight from you, people would, like to have a little bit more depth in what happened, because your son was saying he shot at the UFO with a shotgun. And then those hosts of those shows were saying that because he shot at it and hit it with his shotgun, that's how the piece fell off. And we know that's not true because you and I and your son talked on the phone. So, Benny, tell everybody who's watching right now and listening what really happened that day.
Well, when our boy shot at the UFO, that happened, about 2 years before the medal? Yeah, about 2 years before the medal. And what happened was they were supposed to do a whole hour program on us. And I got a call after they did all the filming and everything, and it was 2 or 3 months before they were supposed to show it. and they told me that a lot of the film was distorted, and they thought that the metal might have interfered with it because it has interfered with cameras and things like that before, and cars, electronics. And what they did was they just pieced together something and came up with about a 10-minute deal, and that was all they had. And they said that it was too late in the year for them to come back out and reshoot, and they're just going to go with that. And that's what they did. They mixed a couple different things together.
Okay. Yeah. So it was actually two separate incidences that were actually like 2 years apart.
Yeah.
And they just put it together and then ran with it.
Right.
Now, they took a piece of metal in that episode, a piece of the metal, and went and had it analyzed.
Right.
And I showed that part that came back to them from the lab that they sent it to. And they said that that metal was not made on this planet. There was no way. You want to dig into that a little bit more?
Well, my wife and I knows where that metal came from. So back when we first had Battelle checked it out, they didn't do a very good job with it, or they were lying about it. That's when they separated. There's actually two different types of metal there. There was a red metal attached to the aluminum, and Battelle broke it off and kept the red metal. Later on, I found out from Lou Elizondo and Tom DeLong, they called the red metal the wow metal. They said the aluminum was unusual and everything, but that red metal, there was something super unusual about it.
Mm-hmm.
And when Battelle came up with a report on the red metal, saying that the red metal was organic and nothing. There was nothing special about it, and that and when Nick and Phyllis Budinger got a hold of it, there was a residue. When they broke off that red metal, they left quite a bit of a residue, which you have a photo of that.
Yep.
With the residue on it. And they kept going. I asked them to analyze that red residue, and they kept saying, well, Battelle said that that it wasn't anything, that it was organic and nothing. And I kept telling them, I said, no, I don't know what you're talking about. I said, because it was a big chunk of metal. I said, so I'd like to get you to analyze it. And a couple years passed, and finally, I talked them into checking out the residue, and they found out that it was not organic at all. Phyllis Budinger did a report, and it's in Greenwald's Black Vault, and she mentions Battelle in it, and so that's where we ended up there.
Yeah. So now we had asked you the last time you were here, or maybe we were on the phone. I don't know. We've been doing a lot of talking, but
Yeah.
Were you going to be able to bring out the metal tonight?
Yeah, I got it right here.
Okay. Well, before you bring it out, let me show everybody what you were talking about here with the pictures. This right here is the chunk of aluminum. And if you guys notice these little pinholes here, those are drill marks.
Yep.
And those appeared after To the Stars had the metal, correct?
Right. Tom DeLong had them. There was red metal. It looked like it was seeping out of the aluminum, and there was a bunch of red spots of it on there. And would you have a copy of the contract that I had with them, where they broke the contract and went after that and had that all drilled out. Now I don't know if they did it themselves or if they had the Army do it.
So this is another picture of the metal after it was examined by people through Ron James, correct?
Right.
Okay. So Ron James from MUFON is releasing a new documentary coming up here, probably like in the fall of this year, where he's going to showcase a lot of this material and stuff that's been happening and break a lot of. He's digging in and he's breaking a lot of information on this. He even goes off to say that a piece of this metal was given to, or is going to be given to Gillibrand, Senator Gillibrand.
He did do that already.
Oh, he did that already. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So so we've got a video from Ron James that he put together that he wants us to share, and we'll play that toward the end of the night so you guys can see that. But also remember, tonight, guys, is our Q&A with Bennie. So if you have questions that you want us to ask Bennie, probably about the last half hour of the show, we'll start doing that. So put your questions all in caps in the chat. Try not to flood chat with your questions. You're going to have a bunch of them. I want you to think about one, maybe two at the most top questions you'd want to have asked. Okay.
And I know I have a couple of questions from last week that I've already starred in the notes, but I have something to just clarify for anyone who's listening to this later on, or anyone who's on the live tonight. This is the same portion of metal, and Bennie, correct me if I'm wrong, that the red metal portion that was extracted, when you held it in your hand at some point from that 1995 to 2005 era, you had said that the top part, so that silverish gray part, had become translucent at one point. Am I correct?
Yeah, that was in 2006.
Okay. So, but that is before Battelle got their hands on it, correct?
Right. One day before.
One day before. Yeah.
So, and I think that that's something important for those who are watching and those that are listening, is that this was literally like a two-tier metal, and the bottom portion almost had the characteristics and components in it that would cause cloaking for the top portion of the metal.
Yes.
So just to kind of clarify for those who are coming into the story halfway through and seeing this.
And one thing I want to point out with this metal, if you look, you can see the layering right here that is pretty indicative that it has been a machined metal. Like you can get different layers of metal that will separate based on their densities when they're molten, but this has been created to have these kind of layers like this. So it's really interesting. And what gets me upset is when I hear people yelling and screaming about, well, everybody's talking, it's he said, she said stuff. Where's the evidence? Now, Michelle and I have been at this now for almost 6 years investigating stuff, and we've had a lot of stories and everything. And there have even been times where I'm like, okay, those are cool stories, but where's the evidence? There's your evidence. It's been out there. The evidence has been out there. It's just been kept from the public as to what's going on until Benny, you and I believe Bob White, who is now deceased or has been deceased for a little bit, but Bob White had the same type of metal. And now that's in the possession of, I'll just say Larry. That's I don't want to put anything else out there, but that metal still exists.
Yes.
So, I mean, what goes through your head when you hear people say, well, we don't have evidence of this stuff. It's all cloak and dagger playing around. It's how they're hiding their UFOs or their new military craft saying they're UFOs and things like that. What's your thoughts?
Well, when we tell the story, for one thing, they don't want to believe that the government lies about anything. And when we tell the story, it's always, they just can't believe what they're hearing, everything that's happened. And there's no way that we can make anybody believe this stuff. And that's, and trying to get somebody to help out, to get these tests done was impossible. That's why I paid for everything out of my pocket. Okay. And
it's not like you're making tons of money telling this story and lugging a piece of metal around and letting people take chunks of it.
Yeah. And everybody, all these scientists and everything that get their hands on it, they end up stealing part of it, all the way from Tom DeLonge and Gary Nolan.
Well, even he said straight up that, and it's on their website. I did a deep dive into their website where they talk about going into, how did they word it? It's going into partnership with a branch of the Army, like everything you had said to us, because they can't afford the tests that were needed to work this metal. Now, this was back in the 90s, right? Or in the early 2000s? Right. So this metal and stuff has been experimented on, possibly replicated. This may be all of that alien reproduction type of backwards engineering you're always hearing people talk about. This may be the stuff that they're exactly talking about that was going on in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
So, now I have one picture here that I want to show, and I can't show the video because I'm not going to do that. I gave my word that I wasn't going to show the video, but Benny, if you wouldn't mind, could you show everybody the metal real quick?
Yeah. Now this is after they took core samples, large core samples.
Right. Look at that. Look at what's left. Yeah. Now, everybody see those cores that are taken out, correct? Everybody can see that. Okay. So I'm going to show you guys a picture of the process of them doing this. And this was all filmed. Benny had talked about that as well. So did Lou Elizondo. They all talked about, what do I want to say? They all talked about the metal, and when they did experiments on it, it would get hot in certain areas and it started glowing. But all of this stuff was filmed. And this is what Ron James is going to put out there coming in the fall. But here is a still. I'm going to show a still of what happened when they were doing those core drills. Okay. Look at this, guys. The metal itself was putting off this light. It's not a lens flare from the camera. As this drill went through and took out those cores that you saw, what's left of that metal, this is what it did. And you can see back here, it's getting red hot, but it's also glowing blue and reflecting off of the, oh geez, what is that? Vice grip, I guess. The grip there, that's holding it in place to be drilled through. And I can tell you guys that the dude who did the drilling had no explanation as to why that metal did that. And he did this kind of stuff all the time. There's your evidence. That's not normal behavior for metal. Okay, T-Bone, I like your question. We'll start it. We're gonna ask that. I think I might know some of the answers to that, but we'll get there. So, okay, so that's why. So you saw the chunks missing out of that metal. That's why, right here. Okay, and what it did as it was cored out. Okay. It is. Go ahead.
Those core samples have been given to Congress and to AARO, and that's why we did that, to get it to the government and without any questions asked. Ron James got fed up with a lot of the answers he was getting, so he hand delivered that metal to them people.
So he would know exactly who got the core samples.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so everybody that's watching and listening in the future, that kind of puts us all up to date. Unless Benny, you have any more new information or anything about the metal that you want to cover? Any recent news on that?
Professor Gary Nolan has mysteriously disappeared, I'll say. He will not return any calls on this at all, and which is suspicious. He has said that he's not allowed to talk about it, but he's not saying who told him not to talk about it. And this, I wanted to make it clear that when it came to the cloaking of the metal, when Tom DeLong and Lou Elizondo and Chris Bledsoe came and picked up my samples, I wanted to give them the history of the metal and the cloaking and all that. Tom DeLong told me that he didn't want me to tell him anything about the metal, that they would figure it all out in the labs, which, I don't agree with that. He should have sat down and let me explain everything to him, but that's what they did. Now, I don't know if they got the metal to cloak. I don't know about that. I just know that they did get it to levitate, and that they picked up the EMF signal from it, and then all of a sudden everything just went classified. So I wanted to clear up that.
Oh, Benny, there was a question that I had asked you the first time that we talked about when you had that possession of the metal for the first 10 years, but it was off in a box and kind of out of sight, out of mind. Right. And I had asked you if you had like an uptick of any paranormal activities or anything, including any cryptids such as Bigfoot? And you had said yes. And this was going to be the direction that I wanted to see what sort of stories you had
Yeah.
out of those, just that 10-year time frame. What experiences did you and your family have?
Well, a lot of things happened. Okay. We've seen a lot of UFOs, different shapes. People come up to our house and tell us that they saw a UFO above our house. And then when they pulled up, it took off. That happened quite a few times. And one thing is that there's a fog involved in this. And my wife used to smoke. And we lived in Frazeysburg. And I'd be in one room and she'd be in another room. And I'd notice that there'd be looked like smoke. And I'd be yelling about, hey, you're trying to kill me, all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And she'd be turned around. She goes, well, I'm not smoking. And so there was a light fog it started out as. And after seeing it quite a few times, and there was one time I was in my front room and I dozed off, sitting in a chair, and it was daylight, and I woke up and it was nighttime, and I had the TV on, but the TV was nothing but static. All the pixels was out, and there was like a glob of thick smoke in front of the TV. And I had a camera sitting on top of the TV, and I jumped up, grabbed the camera, came back, and I took a quick picture of it. So I caught a picture of that. But when I moved, it would dissipate. And it happened so often that I started observing it. And I noticed that if I was laying down or setting up and the fog would be coming in, I could take my hands and touch myself and move through my chest or something, and it didn't do anything. But if I started moving, it would dissipate.
Almost like it was intelligent.
Exactly.
Like, we're going to leave if you move.
Yeah, exactly. That is what was done. And I was in my bedroom laying down, and I noticed the fog. Patsy was in the front room, and I noticed it starting to get foggy in the bedroom. And I thought, well, I'm just going to lay here without moving and see what happens. And now this is after it happened quite a few times, okay? And I'm watching it and wondering, had a lot of questions about it. And it started getting thicker and thicker. And then all of a sudden, there was an area above the TV, like out of the wall. It was like a wave of real thick fog coming out of the wall, and it was filling the room up, and it filled the room up where I couldn't see the door to the hallway was right over to my left-hand side. I couldn't even see out of it. The whole room was started filling up. And what I noticed was around my body, it looked like I was laying in a glass case. The fog didn't touch me. It was around me, but it looked like something was protecting me from that fog. Well, I started letting my common sense take over, and I said, I'm getting out of here, because how thick it was and what was going on. So I jumped up, and I knew where the door was. So I headed right there to the door. And when I got to the doorway, I stuck my head out into the hallway, and there was no fog. I could look back, and I see the room was filled with this fog, but the fog wasn't nowhere else. And then me moving, it started dissipating until it disappeared. And right now, my grandchildren have noticed the same fog in our new home. And they said it was so thick that you couldn't even see the lights when they came out into the kitchen. Now, I don't know what that fog is, but it's definitely mysterious.
Now, are the kids saying that it's like isolating to one room at a time for them as well?
They've seen it in their bedroom. They've seen it in the kitchen. That's all I know.
Okay.
Has it ever taken like the shape of a humanoid form or anything like that, or just like a fog?
When I first saw it in front of the TV, that one time I got the photo, it was like a big glob in front of the TV, and it was starting to spread out through the house. And then, when I started moving it, it dissipated.
Now, just so we're clear, this started happening in between that time frame of you had the metal, then you put it in a box and forgot about it, to when you rediscovered it when you were moving, right? This was in that weird time frame between getting the metal,
Yep,
putting it in a box, kind of, whatever.
yep.
And then, so this kind of kicked all that off. This was what, like late 90s?
Let's see, it was 2000. Yeah, exactly. We had the metal and we didn't know we had it.
Yeah, because you had thought it got stolen.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So now, before I let Michelle dive in a little bit more, we talked a little bit about your daughters having some experiences and stuff too. Now, I don't know if they're more recent or if it was during this time frame, but you wanted to talk about what's going on with them as well.
Yeah. Well, I have one daughter in Texas, Misty Starr, and her husband Jeff. They've had the experiences with the Bigfoot, with UFOs, and a bunch of paranormal stuff. Also, I would say that what's going on with them is the closest to what's happening with Patsy and me out of all my family. And that they've had the Bigfoot right at their back door.
Okay, so I got to ask you then, when did the Bigfoot well, let me back up for a minute.
Okay.
Did you think that fog or anything at that time that you were dealing with like that had anything to do with that piece of metal or related to the UFO you guys had seen or anything like that?
Yeah, I think it has something to do with the aliens. A lot of this
Okay.
paranormal stuff, I think, is because of the aliens. I'll call them aliens because I don't know who they are, okay, or what they are.
Okay, so we've got the fog. You were in some kind of a weird, it almost seemed like a case. Were you abducted? Were you taken out of your home during this time?
Uh, I had been a couple of times before that, but Nick Ryder came to my home, and he had some sort of instrument, and he was going around the house to see if he could get any kind of readings. And when he got into my bedroom to where I was laying at, where I was telling you the glass case looked like it was over me, he said that uh, he should have been picking up a positive and negative results all over the place. He says, but when he got there, it didn't register anything.
Hmm.
He said that was impossible for that to happen. And he did it 3 times, him and his son. So
Yeah, it doesn't make much sense.
yeah. And I had a paranormal guy, one of these Ghostbuster guys, come in and check out the house. And when he got into the bedroom in that area, he had some sort of a monitor, and he picked up something there also.
Hmm. Hmm. All right. So in the time frame of things, we're in that 10-year span. During that 10-year span, what else did you notice happening? I don't know, Michelle, did you want to jump in there?
Well, I wanted to clarify that your question about the abductions. Are you saying that there was an abduction prior to 1995 or during that 10 years that you were in possession of the metal when it was intact?
In 1974,
It's the adenoids and tonsils thing, isn't it?
no,
No. Oh, okay.
that happened when I was like around 9, 10 years old.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. 74 is after I got out of the military. I was with a girl named Georgia Nicolopoulos. My second daughter's mother, uh, uh, Summer Angelica is her name. And I was living in Southern California down by where Hawthorne Boulevard digs into I think they call it Route 1 or Road 1 right into the ocean. I had an apartment over that where a balcony out where you could see the ocean and stuff. But anyway, in 1974, we were taken together. Okay. Georgia was married and divorced before she met me to a military guy also. And she wasn't able to have children. They told her that she had some sort of a medical condition where she couldn't have children and that she would never have children. We were taken in 1974, and what happened was I was, we went to bed, and I was aware of, I woke up that I was laying down and it was a bright light. And I sat up and I'm looking around, and over to my left side, I saw, and it was a really bright light. Okay. But I saw the outlines of some bodies where they was moving around, and it looked like somebody was laying on was laying down also, and they were surrounding that person, but I couldn't see who it was because how bright the lights were.
So you're basically seeing silhouettes moving around of some
Right.
type of human shaped
Yes.
things. Okay.
Exactly. Well, I'm sitting there and I'm looking around and I'm seeing this, and I go to get up, and I go to my right hand side, and I was trying to get off this where the bed, I'll call it, and I couldn't. It was like the lower half of my body wouldn't move. So I'm turning around, I'm struggling to try to get up. And when I'm turning like this here, all of a sudden I see my top half of my body laying down.
Like out of body?
That's exactly what it was. And my lower half was stuck, and I couldn't get out of my body. One of those beings saw me. It looked like they could see me. And it came over, stood right in front of the bed, stood right in front of the table I was laying on, I'll call it. And because I know I wasn't in my room no more. And it was standing there, and I'm trying to make out what it was, but I couldn't, like you were saying, I could see was the outlines of the body. And the next thing I know, I was back and waking up from the bed, on the bed in the apartment. Georgia had full memory of it, and she was saying that was her that was in the other table, and that they done something to her to fix her so she could have a child. Nine months later, Summer Angelica comes about.
No way.
Yep. And now she's lived her whole life being referred to as the alien baby.
Just the hybrid model.
Oh,
Yeah. And but Georgia's whole family knows about all this. I mean, she let everybody know, and she referred to her as her alien baby.
please tell me they've done blood tests and stuff on her and they found something different or something, because that's incredible. And we've heard this before, Michelle.
Or, I mean, what sort of experiences has she had in her lifetime, if any?
Would you like to meet her?
Would love to.
Sure.
We'll bring her up here. She just happens to be here.
Wow. Surprise.
Yeah. And
well, make sure it's okay with her first, because we are being broadcast throughout the world here on YouTube.
Yeah. She I checked it out with her already.
Okay.
And Patsy.
Now,
With her.
as far as with you and Georgia, did you notice any sort of, because we were asked this question too, did you notice any sort of loss of time?
Oh yeah, well, Georgia had full memory of what happened to it, what happened to her and stuff like that. So unfortunately, Georgia's passed away, and and quite a few years ago.
Okay.
And well, here comes our alien baby.
Well, for her mom to hear, from a doctor that she's never, she's never going to be able to have a child. And
Yeah.
then Georgia has this this occurrence. And then 9 months later, lo and behold, you're holding your child that you were never expecting to have.
Right.
I mean,
I'm going to let her take the spot here.
Oh, goodness.
Somebody's in the spotlight now.
Uh-oh, here she
but
comes.
hello.
Hi.
Well, we got to ask, with your, introduction into the world, what sort of experiences did you have?
Well, I guess you would say I was the black sheep of the family, because until a few nights ago, I was the only one that hasn't experienced anything that I remember anyway. Me and my stepmother were out back and saw something a little interesting. And she goes, well, you just lost your, well, can I say it on? She goes, you just lost your virginity. You first saw your first UFO. And I was just like, what? So that was interesting.
It's all downhill from here.
It is. I was just like, oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God.
So
50 years old, and it's a trip.
So your life has been pretty quote unquote normal until then, just recently, other than being called alien baby, right?
My whole life, yes. My daughter and my husband thinks it's hilarious to call me alien baby.
Well,
And
what do you think? What do you think of this story that Benny and your mom were abducted, and then she miraculously, not being able to have kids, all of a sudden became pregnant with you after this?
well, it explained a lot of her odd behavior growing up, because she never really said anything, but some weird things happened. Her fear of me, like, her boyfriend at the time played a game with me. I was 7 or 8, and we were playing cards, and he realized that something weird was happening. And so he started putting the cards face down, and I would put my hand over it, and I started guessing the numbers. Well, my mom was making chili, and she came in and saw what we were doing, and she freaked out and like screamed and yelled I was to never do anything like that again, and all this stuff. And we kind of looked at each other like, what the hell is wrong?
Yeah.
So that was odd.
Were you right? Were you getting the right numbers?
Yes, and that's what was weird. That's why it freaked her out. She saw what we were doing. He thought it was funny. He was like, oh my God, look at this. And I didn't know.
Tell me the winning lotto numbers.
I wish. I wish. But yeah, I was able, I had some, I don't know. It was just kind of like this. I don't know, but it freaked her out, and it freaked me out. So
Do you still have that kind of telepathy kind of ability, or as you got older, did it kind of go away?
No, I wouldn't call it telepathy, but what's weird is like I always have this weird feeling, like I kind of know like when the phone's going to ring, or I know, hey, I'm going to get this job, or something's wrong with someone, or a particular person. And I don't know, stuff like that. I notice I'm very sensitive. I worked in healthcare for a lot of years, and I work with a lot of people right now, and I'm just very empathetic. I feel what people feel immediately. Yep. And I take it in such to heart. And I don't know, it's just, I'm very sensitive, I guess, and I don't really like to think about it, but
yeah.
It's hard not to when you're surrounded. My father and my stepmom and everyone around them are always experiencing these things, and I'm always in the corner going, I don't want to know about this stuff, but it's true, and it freaks me out a little bit, but it's true.
Yeah, you're like a star baby.
Yeah. It's interesting, and it always made sense when I was a kid growing up why I loved sci-fi so much. I am like a huge Star Wars, Star Trek, sci-fi, stuff like that fan. And I guess maybe it has something to do with that. I don't know. Think about it too hard, but
the connection to space and beyond. More than you know.
Yeah, it's like I love looking up, but those things that are behind you on the screen, I don't really want. I don't have any desire to actually. It kind of freaks me out, but I don't know. I'm just oddly attracted to it, and
I've got to ask. I'm sure you said you're like 50 years old, right? About the age.
Yeah, I just turned.
Yeah. So you're a Gen Xer. So you've you've had blood tests.
Yes.
Anything out of the ordinary that baffled the doctors and said, oh, this is a little different, or anything like that medically that you've been tested for, or anything like that? Not too personal, but
No, you're fine. No, just something that I found odd is besides some things that I think I got from my dad, like fibromyalgia and stuff like that. I'm extremely healthy, and it's very weird to me because at 50, with horrible Gen X diets that we had and everything else, like
the introduction of
perfect, my cholesterol good, I have nothing wrong with my artery, like I have all these things that are fine. That I'm a little odd that I'm as healthy as I am, besides some minor stuff.
I'm going to ask a question because blood types always come up. Are you Rh negative?
I'm not. I'm B positive.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
Hey,
no.
look, see, so the empathetic thing. Be positive, everybody.
There you go. Just knowing that being around this stuff my whole life, and hearing stories from his friends and our family, and families, like husbands and wives, and it's like through the family, everyone, it's really interesting getting to know like certain scientists and stuff when I was a kid. And I had one that wanted me to be friends with this girl my age that was experiencing visits a lot, and it made her feel very isolated. And here I am 15, and I'm like, no, I'm sorry, but no, it freaked me out. But I've heard about it, most of my life, and I'm very sensitive to people that experience these things, and it freaks them out because I know just the thought of it scares me. But you're pretty stupid if you don't believe that there isn't.
Well, I'm going to tell you, this is a very welcome surprise to be able to have you on and talk a little bit about, the stories and stuff of you growing up, hearing this, and what do you make of all this? Do you think that, your dad and mom were legitimately abducted, or do you think some kind of a military thing? Because he's a former military guy, I know, and this goes around in families, by the way, that we've noticed. This seems to be a common thing.
With my dad. Yeah, it didn't start with my dad. His, mom and stuff and everything. I just think that honestly, if I just sit down and think of it, like I said, I'm like more of the black sheep of the whole situation. When I sit back and I think about it logically, I just think that certain families are just tagged. I think it's just them just kind of checking things out. I do believe what happened to my father and my mother because of a lot of odd behaviors when I was a kid concerning me, and her, and also my aunt. She told me about it, and my mom's side of my family, they're all Greek, and they're all just very, this is it,
Right.
lot of joking. And I had started to mention it to her. And she goes, "Oh, you talking about the time that Georgia and your dad got abducted and blah, blah." And I just went, "What?" And she was like, "Oh, yeah." Just so nonchalantly. And I called up my dad crying and I started saying, "It's real. It's actually real." And he was like laughing. He's like, "Well, yeah, baby." So,
all right. Well, since you accept this as this is the real deal, and there's people like us out here. Michelle and I had our experience, and as far as we can tell, we were not abducted. Nothing crazy like that happened, other than being around one of these craft and some medical things happening to me and a little bit with her. But now that this is kind of a reality, and you've kind of accept this reality, and it's kind of hard for people, it takes a little bit. What are your thoughts on this now being like, this is the real deal? Are you fully embracing it? Are you still like, I don't know,
Well, looking at what's going on in the world right now, our planet, the way that it's screaming at us, I believe that somehow they're here either watching us destroy our world, or they're here to maybe help or intervene. I don't know exactly. I just know that it's obvious they've been here for a very long time, and it's obvious there's a reason for it. I think it's more of just learning and everything. And it's kind of scary living right now, looking around our planet, and then all these I know they're not called UFOs anymore, but I'm not changing. All the UFO activity that's around, you can't deny it anymore.
Exactly.
Denying it anymore. The government's stupid if they think we're going to sit there and believe that it's a weather balloon or it's a whatever.
Yeah.
It's just like, get over it. Let's just have a conversation that they're not willing to have. And I think that they're going to have it soon.
Well, and it sounds like from your dad's experience when he was real young at 9 to, your arrival, and then all the way to the metal in the driveway, it just seems like he was just destined to have that object fall on his property.
I think that it was fortunate for humanity that my dad and my stepmother even knew that it wasn't just something in the yard, the fact
Anybody
that
else would have thrown it away.
Exactly. It was, and I've known about it for forever, when it was discovered and everything. And then I've heard about every time there was tests done, every time it was sent away, someone else took this, someone else took slices of that. And I would see the paperwork and the reports and read the text messages and everything else. And I'm just thinking, my God, how many more of these scientists and these government people and these agencies have to test this damn thing, before they give it the legitimacy that it deserves, instead of kind of just really screwing with my dad and my stepmom, because it's not fair. Yeah. My dad and my stepmom have always just like, this is the truth. If you don't like to hear it, I don't know what to tell you. And we finally have all these things to prove it, and you're screwing with us, and you're screwing with humanity by acting the way that you are.
Well, and I like to almost make the comparison with what the metal would have originally looked like, is like a stack of pancakes, and now he's only got 2 flapjacks left.
Yeah. Everyone's really just taken advantage of my father and my stepmother very much. I'm a little bit more protective. I'm only doing this because my father means the world to me, and I'm very protective of him. And anytime he's always said, "Oh, so-and-so has approached me," or whatever, I've always gone into very protective mode. I'm just very protective of my father. And when he told me about you guys, I kind of looked into you and I was like, okay, all right, this is legitimate. They're not going to mess with you. I love you, and I'm willing to do this for you. And there's no denying it anymore. I'm 50, so okay. It is what it is.
Well, and we're both teachers, and so this is I actually had I'm starting at a new school next week, and I actually had an open house the other day, and a student came up and she goes, "Do you have a show?" And I haven't talked to any of these. I haven't talked to any of these students. And she holds up her phone, and there's the picture of our YouTube channel.
Oh, that's
And she
crazy.
goes, and I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And she's like, "You have a show, right?" And she's holding up her phone. She goes, "Me and my mom listen to you guys all the time. We love your show. I believe in aliens and UFOs and the paranormal." And then she walks out as an 8th grader would do.
Now you know who either is going to be the coolest 8th grade teacher or the craziest.
Exactly. Or the
One of two.
I'm curious. What are you going to dress up for Halloween?
Well, I've already done the what is it? The alien abductee. One of those
costume.
blow up costumes. I passed it on to a former student. I felt that he needed that costume more than me, but Lord only knows.
Yeah.
It's my favorite time of the year, Halloween. So.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe and Benny, we'll start to get you back in here. Maybe I might do Bigfoot this year.
Okay.
Oh, great.
Good.
Well, thank you for having me, you guys. And
thank you so much for coming on.
Pleasant surprise
being
and glad.
respectful to my father and my stepmother
Absolutely.
and their story. And I'm sorry, everybody out there who don't believe in it, but your head's in the sand. Take care, everybody.
Take care. That was a pleasant surprise to have an alien baby on. So
I wish my other daughter was here, Misty. She'd blow you away too.
now she's having the experiences right now, right? The one in Texas.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's going on down there in Texas is a lot of like what's going on up here.
Okay, so
well, good. We will talk to her at some point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's before we run out of time, because we've got a list of questions that have been coming in, Benny. So we want to get to that.
Let me tell you when the Bigfoot thing started.
Yeah.
Yes.
And how you're seeing them and what they're doing for you, because this is amazing.
Okay. Well, it was in the 1970s, around some give or take somewhere around 77. Okay. And I was down in Georgia, and I came back to Ohio. I was at my mother and father's house in on Rodale Street, and I went to bed, and I woke up, and once again I was laying down on a table, and I was aware of a whole lot of little Bigfoots roaming around, and there were a bunch of people, men and women, naked, being led around by these little Bigfoots. And there was another type of hairy creature involved here, which I'll refer to them as the alien. Okay. They had hair on them, and the hair looked like it was a different type of hair. It looked like a thin string that was wavy, like this here, black, and they had big round eyes, mouth, nose, and they're the ones that did the medical procedures on us. They were the ones that were in charge of the little Bigfoots. It was like the little Bigfoots were the workers. Well, I'm going to jump ahead here now. Now that was in around 77 in that general area, give or take. And then in the 1980s, I was in Asheville, Ohio. We had a mobile home, and there was 5 or 6 little Bigfoots showed up in our trailer. We was in bed, and they came up and they wanted me to go with them, and I started to resist them, and I go, no, I don't want to go with you. Then all of a sudden, it was said to me, not verbally, but mentally, your children need you.
Now, Benny.
Yep.
What's blowing my mind is we've heard stories like this before about things that have happened to people, but it's always been like these guys behind me, right? Like right there, like little gray worker bee type of drone aliens, maybe AI. But you're saying the little ones that you were dealing with, they look like little Bigfoot creatures.
Yes.
So I'm going to call them baby Bigfoots.
And baby
Yep.
Bigfoots. And then you said there was a big one, but with wavy type of string hair.
Right. A different type of hair. It was a different type of being.
Okay.
And then when they said that your children need you, the next thing I know, I was someplace else. Okay. I can tell you later how I got there. I discovered this later on. But next thing I know, I was someplace else, and I didn't know how I got there or anything. And it was like a great big hangar, like an airplane hangar type of building. And there was a dim orange brown light that was on. And there was row after row after row of incubators. I call them incubators because they had little Bigfoots in them. Okay. Well, one of those aliens, when I say the aliens, I'm talking about the other one, was there. And they brought a little Bigfoot to me and had me hold it. And I was holding it, and I was able to check out its hair, its nose, its eyes. And it was laying there looking at me like with these big round black eyes. I took my finger and I was able to go into its lips and its teeth. I mean, I could check it out really good. It was like I was supposed to. All the teeth were flat. There wasn't no eye teeth, canine teeth. It was all flat, perfect white teeth. And they had me hold each one of these. I believe there was 5 of them, but one of them was different than the other 4. Was that the eyes were closer together, really close together. And they had, when all this stuff was going on, like in 77, they put a clear jelly like stuff all over our bodies. And I assumed that it had to do with germs, to keep the germs from spreading to whatever they was doing. Well, when this happened in the 80s, when they came to get me for my children, they told me they were my children. They did the same thing when they had me hold them. They also had that gel on the little Bigfoots too. And so that happened. So
you're what that implies though is what you're saying is that when they said your children need you and you're given this little Bigfoot baby,
yeah,
they're telling you that your DNA was used to create this Bigfoot creature.
yes, and the hair on the back.
I've never heard this before.
When they had longer the long hair. Now there's long haired ones and short haired ones. Okay, the long haired ones, their longer hair is wavy. Now, Chris Bledsoe gave a description of this Bigfoots like this also, and it's wavy. Well, it seems to me like that waviness in the long hair comes from the alien with that wavy hair that they have. You see. So it seems to me that there's what they are. They're part human, part alien, and also I don't know what these orbs are, but their eyes, they have the ability to light up their eyes, the Bigfoots. And it's like a sparkler. They have their eyes can turn into like a sparkler and do all types of things. So whatever those orbs are has something to do with their DNA, with their eyes, because I saw later on, I had a pretty neat experience in my backyard in Frazeysburg. An orb hovering beside a tall Bigfoot. And everything that orb was doing, where it looked like a sparkler inside of it, their eyes were doing the same thing. And I also, in my backyard, I saw a number of little ones and some big ones. There was also like 8 or 9 little ones with, it was like it had a platoon. I saw a big line of them in the back of this field, and 8 or 9 little ones broke away with one big one, Bigfoots, and one orb. And one of the little Bigfoots had its eyes real close together. So it seems like whatever, they make them for a certain reason to do something. But that group left my back, the field behind my house. And when they left, another group just like them came in. And the way they lined up, there was also another little one with its eyes close together. So it's like they have 9 or 10 of them, maybe more, and like a platoon, and they're all the same. They're same types. They got one with the eyes close together, 8, 9 small ones, one big one with an orb. And that's the line of them.
So let me ask you a question, Benny. Obviously, with the abductions and the procedures that were performed on you, because they had to get the DNA to,
Right.
bring forth, 5 hybrids.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to any doctors like in the 80s, 90s, or even after the 2000 era where they found like any sort of, unusual DNA or any sort of implants or anything? Because we've heard those stories before.
Or like the scoop marks that people have when they've been abducted.
Yeah, the scoop marks I had inside my, like on my gums, done. And back in 77 or so, I believe they had an implant put in between my thumb and finger way down deep on both of my hands. Okay. I had an x-ray taken of both my hands, and the doctor said that there was something very unusual in those areas. And I had a shotgun blow up in my hand, my right hand, and it ripped this area out. And I wasn't thinking fast enough. But when I went to the hospital and they sewed me back up, the doctor found a something down in there, and he pulled it out. And I don't know what he done with it. Foreign object, I think, is the term that he used, that he pulled out of my right hand. And I wasn't thinking because I was still in shock from the shotgun blowing up.
Well, absolutely.
And
You said it was in your left hand too. Is it still in
Right.
your left hand?
Yeah, yes. The right hand, I had a sensation when they did it, and it was always there all the way up until they took that out of there. The left hand, I still have a sensation in there, but not as bad as my right hand was.
Okay.
But it showed up on x-rays, right?
Yes.
Wow.
Well, and I know that we're going to start taking a look at, our viewers' questions. And one of the big ones that I think can lead us into the next segment is when the metalhead went off to Battelle and you were no longer in possession of the metal, did you still continue to have experiences, whether paranormal, Sasquatch, sightings, without the metal in the house or anywhere around you?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, your daughter hinted to, I picked up on this, and I want to ask you this, and then we're going to start the questions from the audience, because trust me, everybody, we're going to get Benny back on here. We're just scratching the surface of all of this stuff that happened.
We went down a few rabbit holes
we
tonight.
did. But your daughter, alien baby,
Yep.
hinted to your mom having experiences.
Right.
So can you give us a little bit on that?
Well, I think you remember I was telling you that my mother and brother-in-law was in Bryce, and they had a flap, UFO flap back there in the late 50s, early 60s, and they saw the UFO with in front of a jet. Then all of a sudden it zipped around, was behind the jet, and all that. There was that, and my mother was terrified of all that stuff. and also we had, where I was telling you about, where the glass broke, but that was around the same time.
Okay, right.
Yeah, but they
Did
saw
things
things.
keep happening? Did
Pardon
other
me?
things keep happening with her after that sighting?
Yeah, well, the what I was told was my oldest brother was born in 1940. My oldest sister was born in 1937. My next brother was born in 1947. Yeah, 47. between those two boys, between 1940 and 1947, my mother, something happened to her where she swelled up really bad after she had John is my oldest brother's name. War hero, was awarded Silver Star, 3 Bronze Stars with clusters and a bunch of other stuff. Man, a real war hero. But after she had him, she got real sick and swelled up, and I guess she had some sort of a reaction to sulfur, and it almost killed her. And when all that happened to her, they turned around and told her they did something to her. She always said that they did something to her where she wasn't supposed to have children no more. No more children. Would never have a child. Then my brother Joe was born in 47. And they turned around and they said, "We don't know how you got pregnant." Now this is what I was told. Okay. And she'd tell the story. My dad would confirm it. "We don't know how you got pregnant, but it'll never happen again." Well, then I was born. And then my little sister Diana was born in 52. So they don't know how that happened. Us 3 was born. My brother Joe, myself, and my sister. With my mother being in that, not being able to supposedly to have children, just like Georgia, not supposed to be able to have children. So but my mom didn't like to talk about the stuff that happened to her.
Yeah.
Those people did back then.
Well, let's kick off the question and answer session real quick, because I've got an email sitting here that
I was
going to
say,
with.
And I know that I hit with the main one as far as if the experiences continued after 2005, once the metal went off to Patel, and the answer is yes, there were still experiences. So that may be our next episode with Benny. So we'll hold on to that one.
Yeah.
Let's go over to the email that you received, Wayne.
Okay. So the email I received was from Melissa, and she says, "My name is Melissa Foggin, Benny's niece. For the next show, I was wondering if my uncle Benny knows any information about what his older brother, my dad, has witnessed with the paranormal or UFO sightings when they were growing up. I'm very interested in the metal that him and my Aunt Patsy found. Also paranormal activity that they have witnessed. I love to learn about my past history as a niece and daughter." So I guess, what kind of experiences did your older brother have?
Well,
that you know of. I mean,
yeah. He was one of the investigators with my dad when that glass broke in the old house. We lived in a house that was built before the Civil War out in Bryce, Ohio. And we also had a lot of paranormal type things happen in that house. And also Joe and I and 2 neighbor boys went camping in our backyard. And something came to our tent and started picking our tent up and shaking it, and like it fell almost like it fell on the tent when we was inside nighttime. And Joe had a 22 rifle, and Joe's 3 years older than me, and he went out a shooting. I'll tell you. And they saw something running across out through the field, and that type of thing. but we had a lot of different paranormal type of things happen. And like I say, and that was about the same time my mother had her experience with the UFO and the jet. So
Okay.
I'll update her on all that stuff.
Okay. Michelle, you want to take over on these questions? And
Oh, let's see. Oh, geez, where do I start? Well, I know one of the first questions was going back to the cores out of the metal, as far as where the core samples are now.
Ron James, MUFON, he's got some of them, and I'm not quite for sure what pieces he gave the Senate and the Congress and AARO, AARO, the government has a lot of that. Gary Nolan, Jacques Vallée, we gave some to him, some samples to him, and he gave them to Gary Nolan. And Gary Nolan's not answering his telephone now. And
well, I might have a clue as to why.
yeah,
And I don't know, have you heard about these alien mummies that they found in Peru? These tridactyl, the 3-finger and toed alien like
yes,
mummies that they found?
yes,
Well, I think he's been inundated with a bunch of requests to go and examine these mummies, but because of him requiring, and he says this on an interview that I saw, he's a stickler for process, for the scientific process, and I don't blame him, that he wants, A, B, C, D, all the way to Z lined up for him to be able to do work on these materials and things. And if he doesn't have the backing or the ways of doing those kind of investigations and the analysis, he's not doing them. So I think that might be why he's kind of gone incognito, because of these new mummy finds that they have, is just it's just kind of distracting him, and he's kind of just walking away from things right now. So you may end up hearing from him at some point in the future. Just he wants to make sure all the ducks are in the row, because they want to write papers, they want to have them peer reviewed, and they want to do this stuff the right, quote unquote, the right way. So that might be what's going on. It's just a thought, but anyways, my 2 cents possibly. Michelle, what's next?
So, and that question came from T-Bone. Nathan from the Quantum Show asks, have you ever tried to experiment with the metal yourself? And I know that we have the one instance where it had cloaked in front of you, but have you tried to personally experiment with it?
we've tested it for the EMF signal, that type of stuff, and we've tried to melt it, and it wouldn't melt.
Okay.
Okay.
And I think that we pretty much answered this one from T-Bone as far as when the first Sasquatch encounter, and that would go back to 1977, correct?
Maybe when we was a child, when I was telling you about camping with the
Okay.
tent. I've heard that story that they like to mess with you with your tent, and if not, it's in the 77.
Okay. We have a question from Crypto Sunshine. Have you ever recognized any pain within you before, during, or after any of the encounters? And I know obviously we have the ones where we talked about the between your thumb and your pointer
The
finger.
sensations.
So in the sensations, but any other, pains that you've recognized?
After you were taken?
Not that I can think of right at the moment.
Okay.
Okay. Um, couple questions from T-Bone. Has anyone who has experienced within your household, you or Patsy or any of your kids, had any sort of like MRIs or brain scans or anything since handling that metal?
Patsy and I both have, and so yes,
Anything that you can discuss with us that the doctors have found
they
since
have.
you?
Yeah, they have discovered some things, but that's medical stuff, and
Yeah,
you know,
that's fine. What about have you or Patsy ever been regressed, like hypnotic regression? Anything like that?
uh, Joe Stitz tried that with me, and it didn't work. And he told me that he believes that there was a block put in where I don't. He doesn't think that I'd ever be able to be hypnotized or Patsy.
So they don't want some things getting out there if they're blocking it.
Yeah.
Mm, okay.
And Blue Crossroads asked if you are RH negative.
I'm not for sure.
You're not sure your blood type?
No. No,
Okay.
no.
I did see one question pop up in the chat, and they asked, "Do you think these things are benevolent or malevolent? They come in peace or not?"
Uh, I feel like a lab rat,
Mhm.
that they're observing everything. That's why they do all this stuff and let me see it, and then they sit back and see how I react to it. That's what I believe. So
Let's see if he goes out there and talks or not.
yeah, yeah,
Everybody will think he's crazy, but he's got the metal.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
It comes down to, Bennett, you were destined to have that metal fall on your driveway. Of
yeah,
any driveway out there, it just kind of set the scene from when you were a child up until 1995
yeah,
when that appeared.
yeah. I believe that.
Now, I think we might have mentioned this before in our other interview, but or maybe we were on the phone again. I don't remember, but do you think that maybe that metal was a gift? Like that was like given to you on purpose?
Yes, I do. I believe that they gave it to me to pass it on to the government,
Okay.
and I tried my best to do that, but there's a lot of crooks out there, and I've run into to one after another. Their self interest over uh, science or over our government. Uh, they want to profit off of this, and that's what they were doing.
And then they immediately think national security, they immediately think the war machine, and this is Eisenhower. This is going back to Eisenhower when he said, watch out for the military industrial complex. And now, of course, that's what they're like, you know that's what they're using everything for. Everything is about military warcraft, all of this stuff, and it's or warfare. It's just insane.
Yeah, I was trying to tell uh, Tom DeLong and Lou Elizondo and them about the aliens and stuff, and Lou told me, he goes, that they didn't want to know about the aliens. They said that what they're trying to do is get people conditioned on seeing the UFOs or UAPs, and they didn't want to get into the alien part of it. It's like they're trying to condition us one step at a time or something.
They're trying to prepare for what might be coming then.
Yep.
And it's just odd that we have this very odd object coming toward Earth. You know, it's going to miss, thank God, but this large 3-eye Atlas, quote unquote, comet, which is creating its own light source now, which is freaking out a lot of scientists. But we're going to get into that more next week when we have Stephen Bassett on. So, all right. Well, Benny, you know, let's see. I've got this video that I want to play for everybody from Ron James. Ron James is the person who's been working with Ben and made the metal cores and made sure that they got to people in the government, like actual senators like Gillibrand and things like that. But he did send along a video. So he did a movie. I can't remember what was it called? Accidental Truth was a documentary that he did through MUFON, and it's part of his, you know, media television thing that Ron has put together. But there's another one he's going to be releasing, and a lot of it features you and your metal. So what I want to do is play this for everybody before we get out of here, and let you guys check this out. Here we go. And I'm going to mute me and Michelle's mics. So let me know if you can't hear when I start this.
I'm an accidental visitor to a show I never could have imagined. Cryptic journeys that led only to more questions than answers. I found my way into Washington, D.C.
This is the hearing that is going to change the whole course of disclosure.
I spoke truth to power.
There were materials from unknown craft being studied, showing them slides talking about non-planetary origin. So for this guy to say, well, we don't have this stuff, is nonsense.
I've delivered evidence to the world of secret programs, unexplainable technology, mysterious materials, and vast cover-ups.
It also showed signs that it had come in from space and that it had come in at a fast velocity through our atmosphere.
I've discovered things that led to inescapable conclusions and even deeper mysteries.
This is from a different reality in the sense of it being a technology that has long since bled into what we call consciousness.
I've become more aware than ever that nothing is as it seems.
We live in something that has a software program and is a compute structure.
As we wrestle with these new truths, they strangely echo ancient teachings.
They may have been using the wrong tools to figure out what's going on in the world.
We are coming full circle. A 100 years from now, the beings of the future will look back on this moment in human evolution as truly defining, as pivotal. What that future looks like is up to us. They will reflect on these days, teach these lessons, and share the story with whatever brave new world we've created.
It's been 100 years since humanity found themselves forced to completely reevaluate their understanding of reality. In a time of technological advancement, the legendary presence of non-human intelligence in our midst was finally irrefutable. The impact of this collective knowledge decimated what we thought we knew about time, space, physics, reality itself, and our purpose here in this illusion. With the help of official insiders, information was confirmed about deceptions going back centuries. But it wasn't enough. Those who held the secrets were going to fight to protect their interests. Ultimately, it took the perseverance of citizen investigators, activist movements, and finally the acknowledgement of the impossible to make sense of the unexplainable. The independent filmmakers of the day became part of the story.
All right, so that's going to be the next documentary that is coming out by Ron James, and it's, as you saw, going to feature a lot of stuff with Benny's material, and he's also going to be showing the actual video of the testing of that material. So if you guys want to see, let me post this one last time. Let me find it right here. If you want to see this happening in real time when they're coring that metal for the samples to give to the senators and the Armed Service Committee, it will be in that documentary and it will be released soon. And I'm going to contact Ron and see if we can't get him on for an interview and talk about some of these things. So, but the little robotic alien, I don't know, probably AI, whatever, I think is 100% correct. It's the citizen scientist. It is the people like Benny coming forward. It is Michelle and I and anybody else who's trying to get this information out there that's really going to make the difference. Military and corporations are just looking for a way to make money and utilize it to their own ends instead of helping the people that provided them with that material. So it's kind of disappointing in a way that we still seem to I don't know, that we still can't get outside of the human greed factor. It seems like it's always going to be there. So, all right, Benny, we're closing in on 2 hours. Any last minute thoughts or stuff that you want to leave us with to the next time you're on here?
It's real. That all this is real, and I hope people wake up and start listening.
Yep. I couldn't agree more. All right, Benny, I'm going to send you to the back, and it's been great having you on the show again. And we're going to schedule a part 3 here, probably within the next couple days. We got Stephen Bassett coming on next week, but maybe we'll get you back on the week after, and we'll discuss more and some of the other people you've had to deal with and other experiences and more about your family or whatever you want to talk about at that point. How's that sound?
Sounds great. I'll tell you some of the stuff that we've seen with UFOs and what they can do, like change size and things like that.
Wow, amazing.
I'm making a note. I'm making a note right now. Thanks, Benny.
Michelle's over there writing down everything. All right, Benny. Well, thanks a lot. And we'll talk soon, obviously. So,
you bet. Thank you.
All right. Yep. Take care. Thank you.
Ooh, rabbit hole upon rabbit hole upon rabbit hole.
Well, like he said, this stuff's all real. I mean, when we first started this, I was not a believer in any of this stuff. I'm a science teacher, I got into sci-fi and stuff, but I didn't believe any of it. It's science fiction.
Dude, I just grew up watching sci-fi stuff and
like everybody else, right?
The Twilight Zone and the Star Wars and and things that I could tune in on maybe channel 20 or 50.
Yeah.
Back on my, what was it? The knob television, maybe 62 if I,
Yep.
But
well, yeah. the old Planet of the Apes movies.
I'm telling you, since and to have the chance to talk to his daughter tonight.
Yeah, that was cool. Totally unexpected. So,
1974 was a wild year. Oh yeah, that's right. That's the year I was born.
yeah, that's right. All right, so let's see. Michelle, do you want to tell people certain things before we get out of here?
Well, guys, remember that September 1st, so Monday, Labor Day, we will have Stephen Bassett on at 8 p.m. So definitely come join and hang out with us. Remember, if you have a story that you would like to tell, or if you would like to get a hold of the show, you can email us at mi.ufo.podcast@gmail.com.
Yep. And also, if you want to support the show, the podcast, the audio podcast, you can do that with PayPal. You can come by YouTube, give us super chats, check out our merchandise store, join the Patreon, and don't forget, check out our new website. That link is now provided. It's a little, it's just straightforward. But one of the things you can do is when we're live, it flips a video window on our website, and you can watch. Instead of going to YouTube, you can go and watch or listen, just the audio, on our website now. So,
guys, we're all over the place between YouTube, all the podcasting networks, and now even a website. Huh? I'm telling you.
Yep. You can also join our Patreon. You can do all that good stuff.
Make sure that you're liking and sharing us out too.
Yes. Yep. All that stuff helps us. So,
but
with that being said, we got to get ready for the new school year.
Until next week, guys, we've got some work coming up this week.
Yep. Back in the saddle again, as they say. All right, everybody, have a great night. And remember, keep those eyes to that
the sky, your driveway, backyard.
Just keep your eyes looking everywhere.
There you go.